Welcome to the B-Sides and Beers podcast.
Welcome to B-Sides and Beers, episode 25. Tonight we're talking about B-Sides and Rarities. Really cool hidden tracks from vinyl, from the vinyl and cassette days. How are we doing tonight?
Excellent.
Good.
Doing good. How are you doing?
What do we got? Oh man, I'm just burnt out from everything and sold the house and moving and all these things. So I'm happy to be sitting and BSing with you guys just to get my mind off of things. So
Hey, but you know what? In the summertime, you're going to be kicking back in your brand new digs.
I'm stoked for that,
You're
man.
gonna be
I'm
all
just
set
counting
up.
down and
Yep.
Hopefully I'll have some new some space for a proper podcast recording studio. So
Ooh.
I'm hoping that's going to happen.
You're going to have a Jamie in the back.
possibly.
Doing the... Bring it up, Jamie.
Yep. Yeah.
What are you drinking there? You're pounding something. What do you got there?
Well, I pound like normal. Just waiting. We got a little bit of a late start to this thing, and I thought I should have something to loosen me up a little bit before we press record. Tonight I have from How Sound Brewing. We've got it's called Mega Destroyer. It's an Imperial Licorice Stout, and it is a 10%.
Wow.
Yeah, last time you brought an 8 point something or a 9, and I thought, well, I couldn't lose to that, so we brought a 10 today.
Oh man, I thought I was gonna have you today. I thought I got a strong one too, but you got me beat.
Yep, I'm bringing the King today.
Oh, it's a scary looking can.
You guys got
too.
you guys got Jacks and Queens. I got the King today.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah, sea monsters and ships and
How does it
dragons
taste?
and it tastes like a great stout with a little bit of a hint of black licorice. I'm not a fan of black licorice, but this is good. So
Oh, nice. Yeah.
yeah, and these guys are out of Squamish, BC. So
Stouts and porters are always good for like a higher alcohol content.
definitely.
You don't really
Definitely.
taste that.
Not quite like a super strong IPA, but
Yeah, does it taste?
that one hits you right away. This one's a little slower, but it's good.
Does it taste like ouzo?
No. Well, I mean, hints of black licorice, but it's not as strong and bitey as an ouzo. So
Oh, man, I ate pounds of that shit. Black licorice. So good.
hate it.
Yeah.
Hate
I
it.
used to eat it all
I like the
time back
fake
at home.
black licorice, like the Twizzlers black licorice, but I don't like the real black licorice. Can't do that.
Whoa. Twizzlers, hey?
You know,
a
like
throwback.
the fake stuff, like not the real,
Yeah.
real stuff.
Yeah.
The waxy
the
stuff.
waxy, shiny shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll eat that.
Do they even make that stuff anymore?
Oh, I'm sure they
I
do.
haven't seen it in years, but probably yeah.
Well, I'll kick it in there because I have a stout too. I got the
Right on.
I picked up another Bomber Brewing out of Vancouver. It's a Citizen Kane.
Nice.
Yeah, South American rum barrel aged Imperial Stout, 9.8. 9.8. That's
Whoa.
so close.
You missed it by that much.
close.
Champion.
Yeah, oak and rum in harmony. So
Nice.
Wow. Should we call this the alcohol wars? This is going to be like an ongoing battle?
I think. Well, I haven't found anything higher than 10, so I think we've kind of hit our peak. Unless there's another brewery out there that wants to throw us something higher. But
I didn't notice it till I got it home. I didn't buy it because it was high. I just wanted, I don't know. I liked it, so I got it. But
yeah,
How's it taste?
tasty.
Right on.
Yeah, that's good. Ooh, yeah. Dane, what you got?
I got I got a growler.
Oh,
yeah.
boy.
Of Cumberland Brewing Company. So I was just there this afternoon.
Nice.
Yeah, about a 20-minute drive from here. And they got like a little brew pub kind of place. And we just sat in the back. It was really nice. They had like the heat lamps out and everything. And yeah, they've been around for a while. They've got what's it called? A foggy pale ale, which is like quite popular around here. It's really good.
Nice.
It's like a 4.7 or something like that, like a table beer that you can just have like in the afternoon and you don't feel like a piece of trash afterwards.
Yep.
So
Have a pint and go back to work.
yeah,
afterwards.
exactly. So it was like we had a pint and picked up this growler, and this is a Vienna Pilsner. So it's like, I don't know if you can see it. It's kind of darker, like a darker Pils.
Okay. Okay. It's almost like a reddish.
Yeah, it's almost got that sort of sweetness like an ale would.
Nice.
So I'm not sure if it's it's tasty. I like it. So
Where is Cumberland?
so Cumberland is about a 20-minute drive, kind of on the other side of the highway. So the highway kind of splits the two cities. Cumberland's like a smaller, used to be an old mining town. And now it's like the same thing that you guys are experiencing. It's just like a lot of, let's say, fancy people kind of moving in. But it's like, it's a very funky place. There's a lot of like kind of weird stuff going on. It's one of those kind of towns where people used to completely avoid, and now people spend $1 million on a house there. So
Unreal.
yeah. But yeah, it's a cool place, and CBC's pretty awesome. So
Very cool.
yeah, it's like the mountain biking town around here. So it's just, you see everyone's got like 4 mountain bikes strapped to the roof of their car. And
Cool.
yeah, the place that we were at, there's like a rack where you come in and you just like hang up your bike and then have a beer and then pedal on your way. So
Is it mostly cross country stuff, or is there a lot of downhill?
it's like basically you're beginning to go up the mountain. So there's a lot of trails that kind of lead into like a bunch of like mountain type of riding. I'm not really sure exactly.
Cool.
So I think there's like
Cool.
downhill and trails and all sorts of crazy stuff. You see people like walk into the pub just covered in mud, or
Yep.
like your regular like friends of ours, their parents were sitting next to us. So like everyone's there. It's a pretty sweet place.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I went
Yeah,
mountain
yeah.
biking at in Silver Star there, and that was kind of terrifying. It's
You told me
Just
about that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like it was, even the green runs, which I thought were going to be easier, were not. And the best part about it is putting your bike on the lift and like going up the chairlift in the summertime and looking back, and
then-
it's awesome, right? Like that's the best, because usually when you're on a chairlift, you're freezing your ass off, right? But you know, that's cool. But then you get to the top and it's just like gravel roads and berms and like
Shale
yeah,
everywhere.
snakes, and you know, and
Yeah,
the
Snakes.
and the ambulance just goes back and forth, down there, and then it just picks guys up, and you just hear it in the background. You're like, "There's another one. There's another one," yeah, and then drives them down to the hospital, and then goes back up, and yeah,
Yeah, man, it's crazy. Like some of the mountain biking here, like it looks like everyone's a professional. Like they all have like the bikes with the shocks, and like
yeah.
it looks like they spend $4,000 on it. And I think it's like one of those things where you don't know what you're doing, like you're gonna hurt yourself.
Oh, and I did.
Yep.
And I did, right?
Yeah.
And I rented the bike, right? So like it's an
Yeah.
unbelievable bike. I've never been on a nicer bike before. Like it doesn't even feel like you're hitting any kind of rocks. You just kind of glide, right? So yeah.
You're like, disc brakes, man. This is fucking
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And it's great how a lot of those downhill bikes, you go to grab one and it's like, where'd the seat go? Well, you don't need it because you're not going to be on the seat the whole way down. You're going to be,
Yeah.
sitting back on your back tire.
Yeah. And paying the most
whole way
attention
down.
to anything you have in your entire life, because it's just going by so fast. You're just trying to hold on,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
It's a wild.
That shit used to be fun when you were like in your teens and 20s, I guess.
Yeah.
But like, man, when you're our age, you're just like, fuck, this was a bad idea.
Yeah. When you gotta go to work on Monday, it's like, no.
3 weeks to recover.
I shouldn't even be here right now. I should be cutting the grass.
B-sides and beers.
Besides what?
It's an interesting one. I had to actually look up what a B-side was.
Do you have an official
So being
definition?
a vinyl guy, you didn't know.
I had an idea, but then I was like, so does it stop at records, or like do CDs count? Like, do you go like 4 songs in and everything after is a B-side? Like, how does it work?
Right.
So,
And do they still have B-sides?
Technically not. I mean,
think so.
when you're, well, they wouldn't. I mean, it's all digital now.
okay, then would an EP be classified? Because we're sort of like talking about B-sides and rarities, right? So would an EP kind of be classified as a B-side?
Not necessarily.
Really,
There's a fine there's a fine line with that. So basically with B-sides, it goes all the way back to vinyl, phonograph records, and cassettes, where they actually had 2 sides to them. And with vinyl at the very beginning, the biggest way of putting out music, people bought singles, like a vinyl single. And on one side, the record companies would put the song on side A. They would put the song that they were hoping to be the hit, the one that they wanted the radio stations to play. They wanted the one that wanted people to buy. And for the longest time, they didn't use anything on the second side. And then they decided, well, there's all this real estate on the other side. Let's throw another song on the back. And most of the time it was a throwaway nothing that they didn't think would take off at all. And quite often with B-sides, you find that quite often there's some of their best hidden material, something that wouldn't be on the full album. So
I read stuff like, for example, James Brown, like they would have his whatever track that was going to be played on the radio, but in the recording sessions, like they would continue on. And they would have that extra stuff kind of on the other side, like the more jammy stuff that you wouldn't hear on the track that they cut for the radio.
Right.
Man, I'm still joking. I had tickets to see James Brown, and he.
Oh yeah, just before he died. Yeah.
Man, yeah. I still have the ticket, but didn't ever got.
Do you think it would have been a good show?
It wouldn't have been like seeing him in the 70s and, and
it would have been a story.
Yeah, right.
Oh man. Yeah.
I would have liked to see what he would have done. He wouldn't be dancing and doing all that kind of stuff, but he wouldn't be at
ow my hip.
Yeah, exactly. Wouldn't be
my back.
But I'm sure, I'd like to see him, like the guy come and put the cape on him. I'm sure they would have done all that, right? The whole thing, that would have been cool. But no, it wouldn't have been the Apollo in the 70s or anything like that. But
no way, No. Oh man, I went to go see George Clinton a few years ago.
Yeah,
cool. Not so cool.
Well, he doesn't have the dreadlocks anymore. He's just he came out wearing just like a suit, and then his band is like 20 other dudes.
Yeah.
And he sat down.
No bootsy.
No, he sat down and he sparked up a joint, and he didn't get up for the entire show. I think he only sang for half the show. He just sat there puffing weed like the whole show, and that was basically it.
Thanks for your money.
But it was like, George Clinton, like
you saw him.
Not so funkadelic anymore.
Yeah, no.
It was funkadelic for him. Yeah. So did you guys just compile a list of B-sides? That
no.
There's little bits and pieces that I dug through, but I don't know. It's kind of it's kind of a deep path that you can, it's a deep hole that you can go digging into to find just the weirdest things where, it goes back all the way to the 40s and, they had format wars between Columbia Records and they had their 12-inch 33 and a third LPs.
Right.
And RCA that had their 7-inch 45 RPMs so they only had one song per side where the Columbia's 12-inch had so much real estate on it that you could put, 5 songs per side or whatever. So
yeah, I had a whole bunch of 45s. My dad gave me 45s. And to be perfectly honest, there was maybe 2 artists in that entire thing that I knew. So I think I pawn shopped them or I donated them. But I didn't have, there was only a couple. It was like a couple Beatles ones that I had, but overall, that's where I kind of knew about the B-side for the first part was just the flip side of that, right? Like there was always something on the other side, but, and then it kind of felt like there was more in the 90s. Like I kind of got more into the B-sides in the 90s and it felt like there was more bands that were doing that then too, right? Like, and there's a few that I still listen to as far as B-sides, right? Like I think of like Radiohead is, I think Mike, all those ones that you track down, before
all of them when the days when you had to, this goes back to when CD singles were a thing. CD for the young kids is a compact disc and you'll probably never touch one in your lives. But so the thing with CDs is it was so weird because you couldn't really call it a B-side. There was only one side to it that was readable. But what they did with CD singles is they would put very similar to having a 7-inch single where they would have the main track or two of the main quote unquote hit tracks, and then they still had a lot of space on it, so they put different filler like rarities, and this is where it comes to the rarities and hidden tracks and stuff like that. And I know Oasis was huge for that. With them, I mean they put out they put out easily 3 albums worth of B-sides, quote unquote, that were never on their official full-length albums.
Yeah.
And then you've got who else? I mean, you look at bands like in the late 90s, late 90s, early 2000s, you look at Nine Inch Nails or Korn, where they would have the main track and then they would have like 8 or 10 remixes of. So you'd have like these electronic EDM kind of remixes of this specific song, right? So that was a pretty huge thing for that time. And then with Radiohead, I mean, when you go out and you look at the amount of CD singles that they put out with B-sides and rarities, and you start digging into the Japanese imports and all these other countries that put out a specific version of this album that had, the Japanese one had 2 songs that were never released in North America and that sort of thing. So the search for these songs were much, I don't know, it was a lot cooler back then, because then you could say I have this single and I found this single and I paid $40 for this single, and
yeah, man, and I ripped like all those, I ripped all those Radioheads, and it was just like a new Radiohead album, right? Like kind of had all those together, and I even think of that In Rainbows, that like bonus In Rainbows disc, right? It was so good, and there was like
a huge box set,
like Bangers and Mash, and all those ones, like, and even those ones too, they came out with like King of Limbs, like Super Collider, like those ones, they just so cool, and like.
Or you look at Street Spirit with Talk Show Host.
Great track.
Oh yeah.
So you look at B-side of Street Spirit single, or I guess add on to it, was Talk Show Host, and it goes back to with that song is the version on that was it was not a remix there was a remix version on Romeo and Juliet soundtrack that we had talked about before.
Yeah, that was the.
So now you got two versions. You got the remix and you got the one off of this. So
I found that out later. After
What was
fact.
the remix like?
it was good.
Yeah, they were both
Techno-y?
good.
They changed it up.
They're just different.
No, they just changed up the flow of it, but it wasn't like techno-y and weird. But it was definitely a nice change in a holy shit. This is a cool release that I've never seen before, so or heard before. So.
But yeah, that you're right though. That whole I special ordered the CD. It's in. I'm going to pick it up. I now have this.
Yep.
Nobody else does, or very few people do. And now all those tracks are on Spotify.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's true.
It's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
it's funny how that all went down, but it's different now. It's different.
Some of them aren't
Not-
though. So, for example, I was checking out B-sides for some like hip hop artists, and I came across a bunch from Jay-Z. But what he did was he put all of his B-sides and rarities on his streaming service, which I think
okay.
the title or I forget what it's called. Anyway, he had made his own streaming service, and you can only get them if you downloaded his whatever, and then you can listen to them there. So I think there's like some bands that they don't necessarily have them on Spotify. And to be honest, like I haven't listened to SoundCloud in a while, but for some reason this week I like re-logged into my old SoundCloud account, and you can find some interesting stuff there. As far,
definitely. There's tons of stuff.
yeah. So like Tiger Army, for example, like I used to listen to them a lot back in the day, and like you can find like jam sessions and like just weird stuff that they throw up, and then all of a sudden it's gone. And yeah,
That's a cool way to do it though. You got to buy this and then you get this kind of thing, right? For now,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like I think bands could do that, where you could just say buy this album and we'll give you this 4-song B-side, rarities disc.
Well, that's the only way you can sell albums or sell digital albums anymore is if you give a whole bunch of bonus stuff.
Yeah. Or like
Yeah.
with a
When
concert
music
ticket.
is so disposable right now, it's not worth anything, even though it still costs thousands to millions of dollars to record and produce and put out. In the eye of the consumer, it's worthless.
right. But it's also a lot more accessible. Like we kind of talked about this. What was the topic? Remember, I was like spouting off about like finding a bunch of metal on YouTube and how great that was.
Yeah, and just trying to find out, and whether or not rock is dead and where to find it and all that kind of stuff, right? Like good conversation. But yeah, it's just that whole ownership of music that doesn't really exist unless you do vinyl, right? Like it just feels like I still like that side of it. I like still being able to buy a vinyl record and still have that, whether that's new or whether that I got that at the pawn shop or whatever, right? I enjoy that. But, I do also appreciate the accessibility of everything else that's out there too, right? Like, it works both ways now, I guess.
Well, that's where I like the whole SoundCloud setup, or sorry, not SoundCloud. I've been on to a thing called Bandcamp, and it's been around forever.
Yeah.
Now, what I like about Bandcamp is it's the same kind of a streaming service as a Spotify or an Apple Music or whatever, but you purchase it instead of just streaming. You purchase the album directly from, most of the time it's directly from the artist.
Yeah.
So they get the majority of the money right there. And then you can stream it on the app as if it's a regular streaming app, right? So
That's cool.
If I like the idea of, if I'm going to put money into something, I should be able to give it directly to the artist.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or at least a portion of it, right?
Yeah. But it's funny, man. I remember, and this doesn't really jive with the whole B-sides thing, but I remember going into, I'm trying to think of that one music shop on White Avenue.
Southside Sound?
Is it Bird?
Yeah,
Something Bird.
Southside Sounds. And they would have like Nirvana bootlegs. And I remember seeing them and like, you know, whatever. So the artist is not getting any of those proceeds, as far as I understand. I don't know what Southside Sound was doing with the proceeds, but
Staying in business, that's what they were doing.
Yeah, staying in business.
But man, I remember like one of them, the jewel case was like blue and like the artwork was just some photocopied whatever. And it was like live in fucking whatever, Tokyo. And like how amazing that was. Didn't have enough money for it because I remember it was like $30 or something like that. But I think it's like, I mean, we went out today and picked up some vinyl, and like there's also that experience where you like talk to the shop owner and you take a look at their store, and you know, there's that too, which is super nice that you don't get with like, you know, Bandcamp, awesome, and like the band gets the proceeds, but yeah,
you don't have that tangible.
You don't get that tangible kind of like, you know, I wonder if this is going to be good, and
that excitement too when you find something, you know, like going back to those Radiohead too, right?
Yeah.
Like most of those are special herb, but when you find it, you know, going back to even last episode with the Idiot, when I found it in the vinyl shop, I was like, oh, this is like a pristine edition. It's got like no scratches on this. This is unbelievable, right? And I'm not buying a reissue, you know, yellow vinyl. Like on those ones, on new stuff, I'll buy obviously new, but on stuff like that, there's no way I'm buying that. So when I find it, it's just like you get giddy. You know, it's just like, man.
A treasure.
Yeah.
You found a treasure.
I'm buying this right now.
Are you checking the back for dates, or do you not? I mean, if you find something and it's a reissue, like
if it's a reissue, like I'm not interested. I won't know. I'm a snob that way. Like even with those like
Fair enough, man.
Zeppelin ones, right? I'm like, I don't want any kind of reissues on it. Like, you know, I want the original ones, you know? So
are you looking for the certain product code number that is printed on the certain thing to know what year it actually came out in this month? And this is the rarest of the oldest of the
barcode, man.
And you bring a scale into the store there so you can weigh the vinyl to see if it was the heavyweight stuff, the original, or the shitty
vinyl suck. Like,
it does suck. Yeah, light vinyl is junk.
Totally.
No,
Garbage.
I'm a snob, but I'm not that bad. Not even close. Not even close. I just look at the year, and if it says 1972, I'm like, bingo, I'm taking it. Yeah.
We're good. We're good.
If it's not scratched to shit, then I'm in. You know. But I don't want any reissue stuff unless somebody gives it to me. But
so, are you one of those dudes that just like you walk into a record store and you go straight for like the fucking like top dollar items, or do you go through the $5 bin?
$5 bin every time first. That's the very first place I go all the time. Even when I was back in Edmonton, I'd go to the old Strathcona there, the
farmer's market?
Blank here. No, you know the place, the antique shop on White Ave and like Gateway Boulevard. They had a great vinyl collection there. It was like a mini mall kind of that you'd walk around. There was a whole bunch of antique stuff, but upstairs was the vinyl, and they had.
Oh yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah,
great selection. But yeah, I'd go there first, $5 bin all the time first, and then I'm like, no, there's nothing here. Then I'd go to like. Okay, I'm trying to get all the Doors albums or whatever, right? So I'd go to the Doors section, I'd go to the Zeppelin section, you know, and then sometimes you'd find something, you know, it'd be like, oh, LA Woman is here. I don't have LA Woman. It's like $10. It's a great edition. It's, you know, in great shape. It's a score, right? Like that's the best. But yeah, I'd go to Goodwill. You know, I'd go to Value Village. I'd hit all that. Most of the time, it's classical and like Nana Muscuri and like Anne Murray stuff. But you know, sometimes you get some good ones, right? Like I got a Hank Williams Greatest Hits for like 99 cents, right? Like something like that. Just awesome, right? Just take it. But I miss that, you know, like I miss that kind of the ownership of music that way. I guess that's what still I hold on to. I guess, yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, it's great. Yeah, like I said, I went I haven't gone record shopping in a long time. I used to go to markets back in the day, and it was like the Euro bins, and it would just be full of like awesome jazz. And like, I think this was like my real introduction into jazz, and like, you know, I pick up like a Count Basie or Basie. What's his name? Count Basie.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, just like cool jazz from like the 50s and 60s for like nothing. You come home and you chuck it on your record player, and you're like, okay, now I'm being introduced to a whole like genre, or at least like you know, an artist that I can really get into and like start seeking out good stuff. So if anything, like the dollar bins are like a gateway to
It's a great jumping point. Yeah.
jumping point to the $60 vinyl shit that's on the wall that you're like,
It's behind glass,
man.
man. You want this one?
Yeah.
You want that one?
oh, if I could spend $60 on a record, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nuts.
I used to listen to in university. I used to listen to the most jazz I listened to was in university for sure, and I don't listen to a lot of it now. I used to listen to Ross Porter on CBC all the time at night.
Oh yeah.
And he was great, man. I got introduced to a lot of different jazz through that, and it was good. It was good.
That was a great program.
It was, yeah, and it was on like at like night, and it just kind of set the tone and mood, right? But yeah. I wrote down a couple of B-sides that I like, and we actually have already mentioned a few of these bands, but you know, I think of going back to Nirvana, I think of Aneurysm
right.
as a B-side, and you know, the two different versions that exist too, right? Like the B-side that was the other side of Smells Like Teen Spirit, but then the other version that shows up on Incesticide. And if you listen to those back to back, and like the tempo differences between them, is cool, right? But and even like those other ones that were, you know, like Live at Reading, and the like Muddy Banks, a Wishka, like those ones, right? Like I love those ones, and it feels like I could probably sit down and watch all of those live concerts. I should just sit down and listen and watch like the Live at Reading and like the live, you know, the Muddy Bank Wishka. Like,
it's really good.
Yeah, man. Check out Live at the Paramount. I don't know if
yeah, I got that one too. Yeah.
Oh, you just go on YouTube and it's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
yeah.
But then you also look at their other B-sides too. I mean, off of Heart Shaped Box single, they had Marigold, which was the Dave Grohl, the only song that the only song that
Kurt let him
Cobain did not. Yeah, exactly. So
You may do this one.
yeah. Can I please? Can I please? Can I please?
Yeah. Kurt's nodding out, and we got a couple hours booked. So, all right, Dave, what do you got?
Yeah, the smack's kicking in. Let's go.
I got this band called the Foo Fighters. No. No.
Yeah.
Going back to Zeppelin, hey, what can I do? That one is another favorite. I love that song.
Oh,
yeah, I love that track. And it didn't come out till later too, right? Like another one that didn't get released until later on. It didn't show up until like the Coda remaster. But it was a B-side to Immigrant Song, so way back to Zeppelin 3, and it took that long to come out, right? So yeah, that's another good track. It's about a prostitute, but
And then
probably most of them are.
yeah. A lot of them, or inspired by, or when you dig into the singles and you get some Rarity deals where it's like a really cool cover of another track that you would have never thought. I mean, when you look at Nine Inch Nails' Sin single, what is it, track 3, Get Down, Make Love, that one. So I mean, you got some cool stuff like that. Or when you go back to what was it, off of the European CD single of Jeremy, Yellow Ledbetter for Pearl Jam. That was another that you couldn't get anywhere else. That's another one too, where you know, people study this song to try and figure out the lyrics, and most of it's just gibberish and mumbling. And
It always reminded me of like Little Wing, like Jimi Hendrix, Little Wing.
totally, total rip off of that guitar wise.
oh,
always thought of that when I listened to it. But
Wow.
Yeah.
yeah, that's another one.
Yeah, Little Wing and Kenny Wayne Shepherd, While We
Yeah,
Cry.
While We Cry. Yeah, totally.
Wow.
Those are three songs that are like the same damn song for the most part.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, there's a throwback. Kenny Wayne Shepherd, hey?
Yeah.
Yeah, classic. I also had I don't know if you guys back in the 90s when Fleetwood Mac The Dance came out and they showed it on Much Music like every day. And it was on there all the time and I used to watch it all the time. And I always loved Silver Spring. I always loved that song. That was like my favorite Fleetwood Mac song. And they only did it in the dance and I didn't know where it was, but I found out even like this time it's the B-side to Go Your Own Way. But it never made it onto Rumors, but and it was a Stevie Nicks song, but it's just something about that song was so good and I love that concert. I still anytime it's on TV, I watch it. I don't know what it is, but it's just
It's really
it's
good.
It's great.
man. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And sorry, I'm all over the place. I'm going back to Nine Inch Nails now. I'm going from Fleetwood Mac to Nine Inch Nails, but
Hey, we're sticking to the 90s.
yeah.
We'll be everywhere. It don't matter.
Good. I didn't know until today that Dead Souls off of The Crow.
Yep.
I didn't know that
Yep.
was a Joy Division song.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't know that was a cover. So it was like, okay, that was a cover, and I mentioned before that Pantera the Badge was a cover.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what else is a cover on this soundtrack? Like there's probably more that I don't even know.
Yeah,
about.
about 10, 15 years ago, I got into trying to do deep dive searches for those tracks. And yeah, there's so much stuff on there that has just come out where you had no idea
I didn't know that.
Interesting.
unless you do an actual deep dig.
Yeah. And there you go. There's full circle because that's what the album the guy, Ian Curtis, the guy from Joy Division, was listening to when he killed himself was Iggy Pop the Idiot.
No shit.
Wow.
Here you go. There it comes around full circle.
At a nice happy
Oh,
note.
yeah, man.
And then he died.
And then he died. Then he fucking
then he
offed himself.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Wow.
And then you had mentioned before the Beatles, and I found it really cool with their singles B-sides releases. They never released anything that was a throwaway song. So it was like both sides were always gold, which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And they're probably the most famous one
and then-
is
yeah.
I Am the Walrus, even though, again, it's a pretty famous Beatles track, but that's another one that, John Lennon wanted on the album and Paul McCartney said no. Yeah. But
I always think Big Lebowski when I hear
yeah,
that song.
absolutely.
Damn it, Donnie.
I Am the Walrus. Yeah.
Lennon. Lennon. And the Walrus. Shut up, Donnie. Or when you do a lot. Shut the fuck up, Donnie. Or when you start digging into a lot of B-sides where the band's biggest, most memorable hit was almost a lost track on a B-side of something else. When you look at the Smiths, How Soon Is Now. Totally. I mean, it would have been completely lost to the ages, but at the end of the day, it became their biggest song.
Well,
or you go back to XTC for that song "Dear God."
Yeah.
I mean, that's like their biggest hit, and the song that came off as the Grass single.
Yeah.
And the first song that they tried to push to the record labels was everyone hated it. No one wanted to play it, and it was so bad, and all the DJs at the time were so pissed off that they ended up, okay, we're going to flip this over, see what's on the other side, and start playing that. And Dear God was on the other side, and it became their biggest hit.
Yeah.
And, it could have been lost to the ages. So
Yeah.
It's just funny,
Yeah.
like
Well-
between the band and the producer, the record company, they just got it wrong. They thought
Yeah,
that this was going to
everyone.
be a hit, and it wasn't. But the B-side was,
Yeah.
So
Can you so can you imagine Come As You Are? That was supposed to be the first single off of Nevermind, right? Let's say it was Teen Spirit, right? So it's funny. I always wonder like if it would have gotten the same accolades if it was Come As You Are, because it's a completely different song.
And it's a completely different feel to it. I mean, when you look at Smells Like Teen Spirit, it can reach the masses because of the power of what it was, the simplicity of it, but it just hit you like a fucking ton of bricks.
Yeah, Dave Grohl.
Where if they would have put
Kurt
Come As You
Cobain.
Are, it's just this really slow, lingering sort of.
Yeah.
And the video,
Yeah.
too, right? Like you think about the video. The video for Come As You Are is pretty boring, compared to what all the stuff that was going on in Smells Like Teen Spirit, the janitor and the cheerleaders and all that, right? Like, yeah, I agree. I don't think it probably would have hit as hard. And like if it would have come out later, like Smells Like Teen Spirit would have been number 2 release. It probably would have been like,
Michael Jackson would have stayed at the top.
Yeah. Shut Michael Jackson down.
Yeah.
I still think it's unreal with Nevermind and how fast it hit, where the record company only released a very small run of it the first couple months, and I think it came out in like October, and by December they were selling 300,000 copies a week.
Right, and they only
something like that.
They only expected 250,000 total for that album.
Totally.
Yeah.
And just I don't even know if I can think of another album that was that big that fast since.
I think Garth Brooks might have a couple.
Oh, fuck Garth Brooks.
Luke Combs probably does too.
Yeah, man, 1.4 show.
Farting on balls.
What is this farting on balls stuff that you keep talking? What is
I'll send it to you. I found this thing on the interwebs there, and it's where they do these parody album covers.
Obscurest vinyl.
And they
it's
did
hilarious. Man.
Yeah, it's hilarious. Everything they put out is fucking gold.
All right.
And yeah, the one that came out was called Garth Brooks Farting on Balls.
Did he actually write a
Funny as
song
shit.
called Farting on Balls?
I don't know. I don't follow him. I think he's fucking awful.
Chris
but,
Gaines did though.
Yeah. Chris Gaines.
Garth did, but Chris did.
Fuck that guy.
I had my first Prince album that I bought was the Batman soundtrack. That was my very first Prince
Yes.
album. And that
Yes.
was in
Sweet.
I think it came out in like 89.
98.
Yeah.
89.
Sorry, 89.
dude,
89.
Yeah.
89.
And I think I bought it in
Dyslexic,
like
89.
90 or 90. Well, I probably bought it in 90 because I probably saw it. I remember seeing it on my birthday. I remember seeing a Batman on my birthday. My parents took me and it was a huge deal. And that was my first one. But my second one was the hits and B-sides. So it had 3 discs on that one. And that was,
I have that.
You got that one. Yeah. And that one came out in
I got it. Yeah, so good.
92, 93, something like that, right? And that was my second one. So I had like all the Prince hits, but I also had all the B-sides too, right? So that was kind of my first B-sides album, like full B-sides album that I had purchased, right? So it was kind of like a bonus disc almost because I really bought it for the hits, but it had all the B-sides. So it was cool. And Prince has probably got a billion B-sides, right? And they just keep pumping them up now that he's, gone. But
Well, he's got a new record coming out this month or next pretty soon. Yeah, they're putting it out. There's
Give me a fucking break.
no, they don't need to do AI because he had so much stuff that he recorded. Probably more. The stuff that he recorded and did not release will probably dwarf what he had released.
Probably,
so,
Jimi Hendrix is still coming out.
I had to listen to it.
Too,
It's a good song, but
it's like
and Tupac, come on,
it's like all these guys still got coming out with a new album.
Yeah, new albums and hologram live shows.
The holograms freak me out, man. They freak me out.
So weird.
It is. Can't wrap my brain around that.
Wait, I had a question. So you're talking about Prince B-sides?
Yeah.
Man, he's got some raunchy titles.
Mm-hmm. That I should not have been allowed to purchase that at age 12 because it was like there were so many raunchy titles on that B-sides CD. It was like like I kind of like hide it to turn it down, like, you know, it was like I love you inside of me and like, you know, erotic this, and I was just like, whoa, this is, I shouldn't be hearing this right now.
Princess, oh man.
Yeah. There was some crazy stuff on there. Still to this day, right?
Yeah, still ruffling feathers.
Yeah, absolutely. But I you shouldn't be hearing this. But so good at the same time. What are you drinking now? That can looks cool too.
This is a super fucking kick-ass, badass can. So Phillips Brewing and
Malt Company.
Malting Co. Fucking hell, man. Reading is not my forte.
Not after a 10%.
Not after a 10, man.
Damn. Just on regular, I'm mostly illiterate. I don't know how the hell I get through it. But anyway, this is out of Victoria, BC.
You just got to read numbers for your job, don't you?
No, man. Even with numbers, I screw that shit up. I got 4 digits for all the addresses, and I still read it in completely wrong orders. It's bizarre, man. Anyway, this is called Pandemonium. It is a super IPA, and it's got this really kick-ass giant panda taking over a city, blowing things up with lasers out of his eyes and jets flying around him. And yeah, so it's a kick-ass, once again, IPA, going back to our other conversation of why do all these companies make IPAs? Just, I don't know. It's just, that's what they do. And this is a 6.8%. So
boom.
And it's
I love it that we're at a point where you can just put anything on a can. Like I read like a short story the other day. I was like, what am I buying?
Mm-hmm.
It was like, it's to a point where I think the market is so saturated, and like, you know, I love it. I love the fact that like there's microbrews where, you know, I can walk down the street and pick up some beer, but at the same time, there's so many different takes on an IPA. The cans all look fucking crazy. They all look like comic books. That's fine. The titles are all weird. There's one that there's a company.
They make it fun.
There's a company that I really dig called Superflex, and like the label on the can was just all barcodes. It was probably like 30 barcodes.
Cool.
Just like the whole can was just a barcode. It was Anyway,
you're right though. It is super saturated because you just kind of stare in the liquor store now, and it's just, I don't even know what I'm looking at. You just kind of, you scan, right, and just try to find out what you're looking for. You don't even know what you're looking for by the time you're done. It's just like I'll pick this, I guess. I don't know. Like,
the panda with the laser eyes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Whatever stands out, or you know, grab it like you're reading a book, top to bottom, you know, left to right.
Yeah.
Just grab whatever you can in that sort of flow and try everything.
Or sometimes you see a brewery that you know and you're like, oh, great, like I know these guys, like maybe I'll try this, you know, like I've heard of this before. But
it's also tough too, because I mean, you look at a Phillips, or you look at House Sound, or you look at Ace Brewing, or you look at Bomber Brewing, and quite often I can only find one style, like only one can out of their entire offerings at my liquor store. It's like, I would love to try.
Stores.
I've gone to everything in town, and this is what I can find. So I'm gonna have to go to other towns to find something, or you know, try and contact them to buy direct or what. But you know, I would like to try everything by House Sound. I would like to try one of everything from Phillips. I would like to try one of everything from Ace or Bomber or whatever. Right?
Well, if those guys would email us back, then we would have some different brews to review and drink.
We're giving free advertisement.
I'm not
every
giving
time.
anybody free ads anymore. That's it. Like I'm ripping these labels off.
And this was the downfall of Insight. Fuck these guys. We don't need them.
Yeah.
I mean,
What those guys? What do you mean they don't have 1 million followers
Please
yet?
contact us. Please contact us.
Please, we love you. We love you.
Man, oh man. Like $5, one can of beer, so I can say,
Come
I'm
on.
reviewing
I'll pay shipping.
this today.
I'll pay shipping. We'll devote 20 minutes to you and carry on.
I won't even give it a
something.
bad review. I'll give it a good review, even if it's shitty. Okay.
Even if it sucks, which it won't, because it's
Yeah,
awesome and we
it's
love you.
Awesome. Please contact us. But
Oh man.
there you go.
There you go.
Yeah. There you go.
That's the end of my B-sides list, though, that I had.
It's a good
Yeah,
list.
that's
Good
all
list.
I got too.
I'm just looking at, you know what? Like, to be honest with you, again, like I started out saying like this was a tough one for me because I was like, when does this end? Like 91 when I like started buying CDs. And I think one of my first memories really was, and I can't remember, have we done a show on Appetite or not?
No.
I think we
No,
mentioned
we
it.
had one show where we talked about it a lot.
brought-
That was what the hell was that one? Anyway, I think it was
Yeah.
like episode 2 or 3 or something.
So whenever it came out, 87.
Favorite album of 89 or
89,
87.
I think it was
or-
87, wasn't it? Anyway,
Yeah.
and so I wasn't really watching a lot of like much music or whatever was on back then. I remember that, I think Welcome to the Jungle might have been on the radio, but I do remember getting a tape, and I didn't really care which side I listened to. Both of them were like brilliant, but the B-sides on Appetite are amazing, right? Like top to bottom. And I think that's the stuff that I really remember. I never really listened. I mean, Welcome to the Jungle was great, and Paradise City, I wasn't, whatever, fun. I remember like Axl was wearing the white leather suit in that video, and that was weird. But like, yeah, the B-sides to Appetite were killer, right? I do remember My Michelle.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yep.
just like as a kid, like, what is this about? Is this about a girl? I don't know. And like,
Mr. Brownstone.
Yeah.
Brownstone is A side.
Yeah.
Brownstone is right before Paradise. And there's a couple like Night Train, and I catch
yeah.
myself from time to time like singing that.
Oh, man.
But that's so good.
Nicole and
That's
I were
A-side.
on a, when we went to Europe the first time we were on a train from Paris to Rome. And
Whoa,
yeah,
nice.
but we took a night train, and we cranked fucking night train when we were on there. We thought we were so funny because we were just like, I want a night train,
And everyone was like,
yeah,
putain, America.
yeah. I just remember because they wanted to take your passport. They wanted to take your passport overnight.
Oh, that's just the
and
worst,
this
man.
lady
And
was
you're like,
just
no.
losing her mind. She's like, there's no way I'm giving it to you. And it was all in a different
Yeah.
language, but they told us that what was going on. It was, but yeah, Night Train, we were cranking that night, and it was, we thought we were funny.
You know which one is on? So it's G side and R side. And track number 10, you fucking crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Remember being in like grade 5 and like, all right, let's turn this one up. This one is awesome.
Put the headphones on. Yeah.
You fucking
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think like before we even knew what B-sides were, like, there's apparently a preference to like whichever side. Like I just remember some of these tracks, and apparently these are B-sides, but to me they were all just like, yeah.
That whole album was
Oh, it
gold
was
anyway.
fucking-
So
yeah.
But even like we talked about before, there's something that's changed about, yes, you can listen to it on streaming platform, but there's something about flipping that over to side B on a cassette or on a vinyl, right? And okay, this was set up this way on purpose, right? Like
Yeah.
this is this way on purpose. And to start side B, I think of so many of my different albums of my favorite albums, of the last track on side A and then the first track on side B. I think of those and I know exactly what it was when I listened to it on cassette, right? And it was something that was lost even on CD because it all flowed
Yeah.
together, right? But
Yeah.
I think of like even like STP Core. I think like the last track on side A was Creep, and then the first song of
Yep.
side B is Piece of Pie, and it was just like Piece of Pie is like my favorite song on that album. It's so good.
Right.
So good, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was just that,
And having the cassette of it,
yeah,
right?
just that whole,
Yeah.
I mean, having the
flip it over.
cassette of that and just knowing that that's coming
Yeah.
up.
It was just, it
Yeah.
was neat when you got to flip that over and it just started again, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Missed that.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah.
Kids today will never know.
I mean, or they might.
Or care, or whatever.
If you're into vinyl, then you kind of get it. But
When
'Cause
kids today, when they turn into 25-year-old hipsters, they'll know. But up until then, they won't fucking know.
cassettes are making a comeback too. They sell lots of artists today come out with cassettes, you know, for their newest releases.
Really?
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
All I ever find with cassettes are like stoner doom bands that keep putting that stuff out, but
Yeah, I mean,
a specific limited release of a cassette just because it's a trendy thing. But
it was neat to be able to record stuff on the cassette, but I mean, let's be honest, that was probably the worst
yeah.
format that existed. How many times did you get that thing jammed in your player and, you know, you had to turn the thing with your pencil and like, you
Yeah.
know, I mean, it was the worst format. And it disintegrated after a period of time.
still better than 8-track though.
Yeah, it was. My dad
At least you can flip it over.
yeah, my dad had an old Philips 8-track player that
Yeah, I had that.
wow.
that
Yep.
we had, but
Did you guys ever experience a reel to reel? Like, what the fuck was
No.
that about?
no, I didn't.
No. Thankfully.
No.
So I got this
Just,
straight
it's
off
just
the
a really
recording
big-
floor. Like,
It's basically a really big cassette tape.
Yeah.
Is all it was.
But apparently it
'Cause
was
the cassette
like
tape
better
was just set up,
quality.
yeah. Oh, of course, because it's not tiny, but
Yeah.
shrunk down,
Yeah.
compressed.
Yeah. The cassette. it had its day in the sun, but overall, I mean, it was nice to be able to record things off the radio and high speed dub a tape that you were ripping off of somebody else, but overall it was
Yeah.
junk.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean, that was super fun for sure.
Yeah. That was the neat part of that.
Mixtapes.
Mixtapes were
Yeah.
good. Yeah. That was all fun, but until it jams up your player and you're like, oh, no.
You play it so much that the tape snaps.
Yeah, and then you got to buy another one. You know, I guess CDs scratch too, but at least you could take care of them, you know, for the most part if you wanted to.
Remember when CDs first came out and they're like, they're indestructible.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
No.
The first time I had a buddy of mine, he was higher into technology than I was at the time, and I had brought over Ozzy Osbourne Tribute, the live album with Randy Rhoads, and we were listening to it playing. We were listening to it playing. What the hell? Quake. Way back, fucking
Whoa.
Quake on PC,
Dude.
And he's like, yeah, he's
The mental
he's like, hey
picture I've
man,
got right now.
totally right.
Just slapping Slurpees and fucking not giving a fuck.
That was life, man. That was life.
Slamming
But
oh god.
but he's like, hey man, can I burn that? I'm like, what do you mean burn that? Because it was before, like he had just got a CD burner for his computer there, and it was just like the first damn thing of the whole technology. So it throws you when someone said that the first time. Yes, I'm old.
I'm going to burn
But
that.
Can I burn that? No, you can't fucking burn that. No, I want to like copy it. Okay.
Yeah. And then it was like, yo, I'm going to rip that.
Yeah.
What? Yeah.
Yeah. No.
No, and that was fun because it was almost like an agreement. It was like, you got the stuff. I got
Yep.
I got the technology.
Yep.
Let's rip, burn it.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember when
And then everything changed.
I first got my hands on a rewritable CD, and that was like, whoa.
Yeah.
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 Can fit so many
But-
tracks on this.
Yeah, 20.
On the CDRW.
20
you.
MP3s.
On the CDRW
Yeah,
you
then-
could, but on the CDR you couldn't do as many, right? Like,
Right.
yeah.
But you could do up to 200 songs if you compressed it to one 128 kilobytes on MP3 and
Yeah.
They all
sounded
sound
like shit, but you could
garbage.
put all of them on the
I remember we went camping.
and then B-sides and rarities were dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were living in the basement suite there. We had like a CDRW and we ripped like, I don't know, 800 Dwight Yoakam songs on one CD. And it was just like, we're going camping, man. We're listening to Dwight Yoakam the whole way, all weekend. Here you go.
And half of it is garbage.
Oh, yeah.
So, right? That was like when you could first download. Like we just like hopped on LimeWire
Yeah,
or whatever.
download it all, man. Yeah, throw it all on there.
1,000 Dwight Yoakam songs, and half of them just like didn't work.
Yeah.
What do you want? It's free.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, but like,
Don't bitch.
so I was trying to like think of what to do for this, and I was like, maybe I can come up with a math equation and just like take the single off every album and just like plus it 1, and then that that would be the B side because I don't know what a B side is anymore. But there was, and Mike, you mentioned that jazz program on CBC. What was the name of it?
I don't know. Ross Porter was the host. I don't know what it was called.
Ross
but
Porter. Yeah. And it had like a cool name anyway.
Yeah, I'm gonna look it up.
But the first thing that came to mind was this program on CGSR that I used to listen to, like probably, I think it was only on for 3 years, but it was around like 2005, 2006 when I was in university. And it was called 25 to Life. And it was these two guys, I think they were doing their masters or I have no idea, but they had a program on CGSR. And it was all about hip hop rarities. And these guys really did their homework.
This is Saturday night, right?
So, yeah, it was like Saturday 6-ish.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Around that time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they were just like very intelligent dudes. Like you could tell they did their homework and they did a lot of research, because what they would do is they would find some sort of like, they would play this obscure R&B or hip hop song. And then they would link it to like some kind of record label. And then they would link that to like Tupac. And you'd be like, what? And every episode was like, okay, so there was this like obscure record label in San Diego called like Purple Magic. And they put out this track, but they also signed this dude who wound up being Biggie Smalls, or I'm just making it up.
Yeah.
But it was
Right.
They had these amazing stories that sort of like kind of, gave you this other side of hip hop, like, essentially like the B-sides and rarities of hip hop. And a lot of it was like 90s, kind of like 90s jams.
Yeah.
And I think it was only like, I think it was an hour show. It was two dudes. I forget their names, but it was great.
After Hours was the name of the Ross Porter jazz show.
After Hours, right? Yeah,
After Hours.
yeah. And it's weird because that's another format which is like totally gone. Like both our cars are on the country station because there's fucking nothing else, and the two of us can tolerate country. We like it. Whatever. We turn it down if it gets too crazy.
Great.
I'm telling you,
But,
man,
like-
we need to come up with a rock station for the Okanagan. I'm telling you, there's a niche there.
Yeah.
Like it's just, I don't know.
For sure.
I think Vernon's got like, Sun FM or something like that. Like Beach.
Radio is dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's so cool though. And like, sure, maybe it's dead, but man, back in the day, CGSR was like, it was the university station, right? And I think at one point, like Mike, me and you went there with one of our fresh cut albums,
Yeah.
and we're like knocking on the door, and then the dude actually like let us in.
he played it,
Awesome.
didn't he?
I think
Yeah,
so.
he did.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
When you could actually talk to a DJ instead of everything pre-programmed on a computer.
Yeah. Yeah. So that radio station was like, I mean, the epitome of B-sides. Like I remember like often, maybe not often, but from time to time, it'd just be like dead air.
Yeah.
Right? Like Buddy didn't show up or they fell asleep or I don't know.
Just
But
done. Yeah. Yeah, it was a good
Smoked just a little too much.
yeah.
But it's funny. I
Took a nap.
remember that you say that. Like I just remember even coming back from like the bar on a Saturday night, and I'd throw on CJSR, and it would always be rap. It would always be that, right? I just knew that that's what I would get, and that's what I wanted to listen to on Saturday night driving home at 2 a.m. It was just rap, man, and hip hop.
It's exactly what I wanted.
Yeah.
Nobody else was playing that on any other station in Edmonton, right? Like I'm not gonna find that anywhere else. So just
And these are like dudes our age, just like, they would show up with boxes of CDs, I'm assuming, and just put on like random stuff.
whatever they wanted.
But from time to time, like you'd have DJs that sort of would like link it and like give you the background of like what you were listening to. Yeah.
Having the days when DJs were somewhat passionate about music instead of just a voice telling.
And it was that true like university radio station, right? That you would think of, that kind of stereotypical radio station of dead air or playing random rap or, the craziest stuff that you're like, what is going on here? Like, I've never heard this before, right? Or two dudes trying to bust in there and play their CD and get it, Airhead style.
Right.
So we didn't have to take nobody hostage, so that was good.
Going back to the reel to reel and the cassette.
Yeah.
Like, doesn't the cassette,
And they had to
like,
try and
blow
find
up? Like,
it got ripped up. Well, like, did you bring the reel to reel? No, man, it sounds like someone makes my backup vocals sound like someone stepping on my nuts.
wow.
We can't play that.
There you
one.
go. There's
Yeah.
2 Steve Buscemi movies in one episode.
Boom.
Big Lebowski
Nice.
and Airheads.
Yeah.
There
Done.
you go. That's it.
Nice.
Yep, there's a slam dunk right there.
Where can you fit Dave Mustaine? That's the only question I got.
Fuck that guy.
The Megadeth B-sides.
Yep.
We're all so on the same.
Yep.
The end.
Yeah, I think so. That's perfect ending.
Yeah.